Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay, guys, I'm back. It's Wednesday, November 27th. So, happy day before Thanksgiving Day to my American friends. And I wish you all a very, very good Thanksgiving. I hope that most of you are able to be with your families and so forth. Anyway, what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be covering the news. Q has not posted today. Of course, the day's not over, but he has not posted yet today. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be getting into some news, but we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing two videos tonight if my voice holds up to it. And the first video is going to cover one subject. That's it. I'm just going to cover this explosion in Texas because there's a lot of weird things with it. And I'm just going to go over it with you guys. You guys can tell me what you think. And that will be it for the first video. And then I'll come back with Q-related news. I also have a couple people to thank, but I will do that at the end of the video. All right. So this explosion in Texas. I know probably a lot of people think, well, big deal. Well, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal. And it's a bigger deal because there's a lot of strange stuff going on with it. But, sure, if you're up in Alaska, yeah, you say, okay, well, big deal. But if you happen to live in that area, yeah, it's a really big deal because the chemicals that are pouring into the air, even now as we speak, excuse me, are toxic. Not just toxic, they're carcinogenic, highly carcinogenic, meaning they cause cancer. Yeah, this is a big deal. So I'm just going to get into it, and hopefully the anomalies will show up as I'm going along, because I've picked out a lot of different things that, first of all, this shows the actual second explosion. The first explosion happened at 1 p.m. in the night, last night, which would have been very, very early this morning. That was when the first happened and the fire broke out. There was a second explosion early in the afternoon today, and that is what this caught, is the second explosion. Obviously, it's not the first because we can see it's light out and it was pitch dark when the first fire started. But also the weird thing is, and okay, maybe it's not so weird, I don't know, but I'm just throwing this out there as things surrounding this. They had a power outage when this fire struck. There was no power at all in the whole region, and I don't know why that is, except that I did see that there were tornadoes in the Mississippi area and stuff, but I didn't know, or I don't know whether there were, tornadoes in that area or not. I have no idea. I know that there's significant weather issues throughout the United States right now, especially in the West. But I don't know, but the power was out, and that's interesting. Okay, and this shows the second video, or the second explosion rather, and you can see that's quite nasty, very nasty. So let's go back now. And we're going to go to the next one. And I want to bring your attention to something. All right. Now, this is a good one. It captures that process tower being, exploding and being thrown. But here's the weird thing, okay? Let's go over to here. Now, this Twitter account, DNC War Room, tweeted something yesterday, November 26th, and it says, a 2013 explosion killed 15 in West Texas, including 12 first responders. In response, President Obama implemented new safety rules. Trump scrapped those rules for 12,000 facilities housing dangerous chemicals, endangering workers and first responders. And this, they're drawing our attention to an article, Trump scales back safety rules adopted after deadly chemical explosion. So this comes out, I'm not sure when this Washington Post article was, but this tweet from the DNC War Room came out yesterday. Not sure exactly what time it was tweeted, but it was not tweeted that far in advance of this chemical plant explosion. So that seems a little odd. Doesn't that seem odd to you? What are the odds? I would say that they're probably astronomical, that the DNC War Room would put this out and then a chemical plant fire would immediately ensue. Excuse me. I know I shouldn't be drinking Diet Coke. I'm doing very, very well with not drinking it, but I had a gluten-free pizza tonight, and I couldn't have gluten-free pizza without Coke, Diet Coke. I mean, that seems like sacrilegious or something. All right. So, yeah, let's go back now. So that's a couple weird things. One, there was a power outage before it happened. Two, the DNC War Room, tweeted something about it being Trump's fault. Well, basically, they were putting it into our minds before it even happened that this is Trump's fault, right? Because they were saying, oh, well, Trump, did away with these safety measures and blah, 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 blah. And so they're already placing this in our heads before it's even happened, that this is going to be Trump's fault. There's going to be a fire. It's going to be Trump's fault. Basically, they're putting that out there. So don't know. Now, let's continue on here. We've got plenty to get to. Now, this says, on here. I just want to, this is a bit, this is up close. It's a better video. Dramatic video appears to show a second explosion at the chemical refinery in Port Neches, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know. Texas, that injured at least 3 people and damaged. See, ABC News can't even get it right. They can't even get their grammar right. What is happening? It should be Texas, that injured at least 3 people and damaged, not damaging, nearby homes from the blast earlier this morning. Now, let's take a look at this. And ABC News, shame on you. Don't you have a spell checker? Well, spell checker wouldn't catch grammar, but shouldn't you like use Grammarly or something? I mean, come on, people. Like ABC News, of all people. You like to criticize everybody else. Okay, so this is a better. It's a big explosion. And the other thing is, why would they say dramatic video appears to show a second explosion? It doesn't appear to show a second explosion. It shows a second explosion. They're so used to doing fake news, they don't know how to do anything else. All right, now we're going to go back here and let's look at this. Now, I warn you, this is weird, okay? It's weird. Actually, I think before I go into that, I'm going to go into a couple other things first. Like this. This is the chemical that is burning right now in Texas. It's right there along the Louisiana coast. It's close to the Louisiana coast and not that far, about 70 miles from Houston, 70, 80 miles from Houston. So not, potentially. Now, the wind appeared to be blowing toward the east, which would be good for Houston, not so good for Louisiana. But, all right, this is what is burning. What is butadiene? I guess that's how you pronounce that. Again, I'm not sure. The chemical burning at the Port Neches, is it? Oh, it's driving me crazy because I don't know how to pronounce that. Plant explosion. Now, a plant explosion in Port Neches rattled the East Texas city, knocking out windows and igniting a massive fire at the plant. Yes, a lot of surrounding homes have been damaged by this. And I was seeing people on Twitter that were talking about, being a long way away from it. And the one showed her garage door just all bowed out from the explosion. And she was not close either. So anyway, there have been no fatalities reported, but following the explosion, officials ordered a mandatory evacuation for people near the plant and a shelter in place for surrounding areas due to health concerns. Well, that mandatory evacuation area has expanded significantly now, and they are mandatory evacuations. So officials said one of the chemicals burning is butadiene. Here's what you need to know about the toxic chemical. It is primarily used to make many synthetic materials like rubber, neoprene, and other plastics, but it's mainly used for making tires, according to AmericanChemistry.com. What happens when butadiene gets into the environment? The chemical will evaporate into the air, even from water or dirt, and will break down quickly in sunlight. According to AmericanChemistry.com, environmental sources include industrial releases from butadiene production and use, automobile exhaust, cigarette smoke, and other combustion sources. What are the risks associated with butadiene? It is a known carcinogen. Short-term exposure to butadiene can cause eye, nose, or throat irritation, drowsiness, and lightheadedness. Studies have linked long-term exposure to the chemical to heart disease, reproductive issues, birth defects, and cancer. And another thing is it raises your blood pressure. Yeah, I was reading that in another source as well. It raises your blood pressure. Officials with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality have continued to monitor air quality. Oh, right. Yeah, we're going to trust them, right? To tell us what we need to know? No, we're not. Now, I'm not in the area. It's not something that I have to be concerned about, but I am concerned about it. I'm concerned about it for the people that are living in that area. They shouldn't have to put up with that. Officials with, okay, so and they said all air levels remain normal so far. Now that's got to be a flat out lie. Really. You saw that explosion. Do you know that that explosion and the smoke from that explosion showed up on local radar? That's how big it was. And it showed up bigly on local radar. So yeah, but I'm sure the air levels are all normal. That's why they're making it a mandatory evacuation, because all the air levels are fine and nothing's wrong at all. So yeah, that's why they're evacuating everyone. Right. Like, you don't even have to have the intelligence of a 3-year-old to know that that's not so. I mean, a 3-year-old seeing the plant fire would know that there's stuff in the air. Unbelievable. All right. So they want us to think it's safe. Yeah, I guess so people don't panic. They can never tell us the truth because we're like little children. They have to babysit us like kindergartners and tell us all nice stories about, fairies and princesses and things like that. All right, let's go back now. There's more. There's always more. Now, this is going to what I was telling you about the area expanding. The evacuation zone for the TPC group plant explosion in Port Neches has increased, and the First Baptist shelter in Nederland will close and relocate to Ford Park in Beaumont. The Ford Park shelter opens at 6 p.m. and it's on 5115 Interstate 10 Access Road, Beaumont, Texas. Now, that's not what I wanted to. So this is the evacuation area. That's a pretty big area, right? It's a 4-mile evacuation. Oh, but don't worry, folks. Nothing, the air quality, everything's just fine with the air quality and everything. Yeah, they haven't detected anything in the air at all. No, not at all. Right. That's why there's a 4-mile evacuation. Okay. So, I wanted to show you that. And we've seen things explode now. So let's go back here. Now let's look at this. Yes, I do have my ad blocker turned on and I'm not turning it off. Gosh darn it. I might have to. Oh, they get you coming and going, don't they? There we go. So now I can see the article, but I have to put up with the ads. TPC Group has long history, spotty environmental record. This is from today, November 27th. TPC Group has a 75-year history in Port Neches and the Port of Houston, dating back to World War II when petrochemicals boomed along the Gulf Coast to manufacture synthetic rubber for tires and other products to support the war effort. Okay, well, it says I've read all my free articles, and so they are wanting to charge me, so I don't want to read it bad enough to have to pay, because I would be paying all of these sites because I pick up stuff from all of the news sites, and so I can't afford to buy, subscriptions to all these sites. All right, now let's come back here. So they have a long history of, safety violations. Now, here is what I'm wanting to get to right here. This is weird. And I just happened to see it, and it started me thinking, like, what is going on with this? This is weird, and I'm prefacing it because I know at first you're going to look at it and go, what? So I think this is important though, because this happened. Okay, well, let me get to it first, and then I'll do a little bit of explaining.
Believe that?
All right. Now, I have never seen this guy before. I've never seen any of his videos before. But when I was looking for stuff about Houston, this popped up, or not Houston, but the explosion near Houston. This popped up, and I started looking at it, because it says rogue YouTuber reported to FBI for explosion in Port Neches, Texas. And this from the Conspiracy Distillery. Now, I've heard that name before, so I thought, well, I'm going to see what this is. Well, the more I watched, the more I was like, what? It just wasn't what I was expecting at all. But very interesting. So I don't know, maybe you guys know this person and can vouch for him. He seems credible as far as I'm concerned. He's got 58,000 subscribers. So obviously some people agree with what he has to say. And I didn't find a problem with anything he said, but let's listen to this, okay?
Believe in coincidences? Do you believe that everything online, that there are no death cults, there are no organized gang stalkers, people that do outrageous acts online to promote some kind of agenda or for attention or any of that stuff? Do you believe that? Do you believe that none of it exists, that the internet is a very safe place? Do you believe it? Do you believe it? Talk me down, because there was an explosion this morning at 1 a.m. in a Texas city, and one YouTuber that we all know and love, that I've covered extensively, was predicting it all along, and suddenly there's an explosion.
So do you get this so far? This guy it's Conspiracy Distillery, and I want to give him full benefit for this. I don't want to just use his video without crediting him. And he's reporting that this guy, who apparently he knows or has followed online, he's saying that this explosion happened this morning, which it did, and that this guy had been predicting it all along. So that in itself, made my little antennas go up, and I thought, what have we here? So let's go on, because it gets weirder, much weirder.
Explosion in a chemical plant down in Texas. Right? You heard? So we're going to jump into this, and I want you to talk me down. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm not pointing the finger. This is all hypothetical. It's just a working theory based on some evidence that I saw. I'm going to show you the evidence. I'm going to explain to you the story first. So a chemical plant blast has injured 3 and caused extensive damage to a Texas city as a fire continues to burn. An explosion rocked the chemical plant early Wednesday in Texas, about 1 a.m., causing extensive damage across the small port city of Port Neches, leaving at least 3 employees injured. A chemical fire continued to burn the site, and a mandatory evacuation order has been issued within a half mile of the TPC.
Now extended to 4 miles.
About 90 miles east of Houston. So here's the port of Neches, right? This is Texas. Port of Arthur, Port of Neches, right? It's in the Gulf of Mexico and Texas. Here's Corpus Christi. Just keep in mind. Here's Houston, Port of Neches, Houston, Corpus Christi, right? You see where it is? Okay, just keep it in mind. Just put it in your head for a second. There's extensive damage throughout the city. Port of Neches police said, please stay off the roads anywhere near the refineries. Obey all barricades and are in place. We are doing everything we can to keep everyone safe. Let's look at the videos. Let's listen.
Breaking news now. If you're just waking up, a plant exploded overnight in Port Neches. This is a live look.
I'm going to play the suspect video at the end. Watch the evidence first. Watch what happened. Watch the incident first. And then we'll look at the evidence video because it's still up.
With the sun starting to rise, you can see the enormous plume of smoke from miles away. At least 3 people were hurt, but no one has died.
So we know now that that plant is owned by TPC Group, which is based here in Houston. And according to its website, it produces a variety of chemicals at its facilities in Houston, Lake Charles, and Port Neches. That is where this explosion happened. So that plant makes butadiene and raffinate. So what are these chemicals? Butadiene is a colorless gas. It's used to make synthetic rubber, and we know it's a known human carcinogen. Now, as for raffinate, it's basically what's left over after something else has been extracted. Be sure to stick with me.
So that's one report telling you what's burning. What the hell is burning? Let's look here. What's this one? This is NBC.
Blew off part of my friend's roof.
An explosion at the TPC plant in Port Neches, Texas. What a blaze. It's a real fire. A real fire with chemicals burning. What's this one? Here's another one. So this is a ongoing fire. You see the blaze, it's still lit. It looks like it's already daytime. Or is it? Is it cloudy? I don't know. Is it nighttime? Nonetheless, if the explosion happened at 1 o'clock in the morning, the stuff is still burning. They haven't put out the fire yet. So that's what it looks like. The port city of Neches. Port Neches.
I also wanted to interrupt here for a second and say that they're now warning people that if they see anything black falling from the sky from this fire and the smoke that's going up, to not touch it under any circumstances. But again, there's nothing wrong with the air at all, they say. That's why they had to have a 4-mile radius of mandatory evacuation. Don't touch the black stuff, though. They don't tell you what'll happen if you touch it, but they're warning you not to touch it. But don't worry about the, breathe everything in. I mean, breathe deeply because, the air is nice and pure, according to Texas officials. Sure.
Chemical plant in Texas. Right? Keep it in mind. Not Corpus Christi, but Port Neches. The prediction was, the allegation was that it would go off in Corpus Christi. So here's a lot of aerial shots, a lot of smoke. You see some of these maybe liquefied natural gas tanks over here, oil tanks, whatever they are. They're probably LNG tanks. That's what they look like, short LNG tanks. I'm no expert. I'm just guessing. It's hypothetical. Right? And here's the port. You see the water. Right? That's probably where the boats come in. It is in the port city. Some horrific fire going on. Doesn't look. It is light out, so it is daytime. It's now probably a 5-hour, 7-hour.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead a bit.
So let's continue. Let's continue looking at the evidence. Let's hear ABC report.
In Texas, multiple explosions rocking a chemical plant, blowing out doors on nearby homes, forcing mandatory evacuations. Marcus Moore has the latest for us. Good morning, Marcus.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead a little.
At homes several miles away.
My dining room ceiling crashing down.
The plant, which is located about an hour and a half from Houston, produces chemical and petroleum-based products and has 125 employees.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead.
It was very loud, mainly because the front door blew in and the door frame blew out.
So, moving right along, right? So, here's a video, right? Is there any coincidence?
All right.
Is there any coincidence?
Now we're getting to the crux of this, all right? And he's wanting to give us a little bit of background on the fire and everything before he got into this. Now, this is a bizarre video from this guy that he's got pulled up now. And the person's name on YouTube is I Love SDNY. Southern District of New York. I don't know what that is supposed to stand for, but he loves it, whatever. I Love SDNY. Now, this guy is talking about a lot of unrelated stuff. And, he's showing about, being off the power grid and switching it to, to being off or on the grid or whatever. He's talking about a bunch of different things that, I don't have really nothing to do with anything. And then he starts talking about a dream he had. And it actually involves this guy and Jason Goodman and another female YouTuber, which it appears as if he's trying to frame for this chemical fire that had, at this point, had not even happened yet. So let's get into this. Now, I'm going to be skipping ahead because there's just a lot of it that's not.
It says, do we believe that these groups online, that people get radicalized online, that there's people out there looking to do very bad things? Now, this could be a complete, I hope it's a complete coincidence. But just to cover, I've already informed the FBI that.
So he's informed the FBI about this guy, and what he's saying is like, are these guys out there doing these radical things, and are they being radicalized online? And he's asking these questions, kind of more rhetorical, and so he has done due diligence and the right thing, and he contacted the FBI and let them know about this. But let's continue here.
They've been called. I have an extensive recording of the call, and all names and information has been given. The video has been viewed. The URL is documented. The name of the author is documented. So everything is documented. And I take offense to this video. Why? Because first of all, it includes this reporter as suspect in blowing something up in Texas, right? That's what it does. So Let's watch the evidence video.
I'd be pretty freaked out
It's
too
at
if that was
I
me.
Love SDNY. Who is that? My Strange Dream About Corpus Christi Moving. Unlisted. Right? And who are these fine people in the chat? Matthew Kyle. Kenneth Sandry. Quantum LARP Bot. Crypto Beast. Crypto Beast. That's Steve Outram. Steve Outram is in the chat. Right? It seems to be an unlisted publication. This is David Acton. D. George Swaggart. Right? This is Dave Acton, the actor, brother of George Webb. D. George Swaggart. David Schwaggart, David Acton, Swaggart. All information given to the FBI. Let's watch the video in its entirety.
Everybody, it's Dave. Welcome back to our hypothetical and theoretical analysis of those legal issues that we have a scholarly interest in, no matter how illogical and incomprehensible. So I'm doing some work on the trailer, and I have to admit that all the solar stuff went to that side because that's where the power...
At first, he's just talking about this trailer stuff. And, you know, I think that this guy, you know, in the interest of informing everyone, lets it run too long because this guy's just talking nonsense. And then all of a sudden he gets to this so-called dream he had. So I'm going to move forward a little bit because I just don't think all of this is necessary for us to hear. Now, where does he get to the point of talk? Okay, here he's going to start talking about the dream. All right.
What else can we document about this? What else can we document about this? Open. Okay. We'll look at this. Maybe not. The site seems to be blocked.
Hey, I could make notes.
Now, this is the part that's starting to get creepy.
Let's watch the actual plot.
This is perfect. You know, I had this really crazy dream. It was really super crazy. So there was this lady in Corpus Christi, and she was all upset and anti-government because her daughter was murdered, and it was never investigated.
So he's talking about the woman. Her name is Truth Convoy Denise Mattow, the woman in Corpus Christi who did this excellent video about the death cult meltdown. If you want to watch that, I did. I would love it. Love the video. I said quality stuff. Thank you.
So
that's who
this woman, and she goes by Truth Convoy on YouTube. And apparently that is who this guy is talking about. He's saying, I had a dream about this woman, but it's an actual woman.
He's talking about the woman in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Steve, this is a movie plot. It's called Corpus Christi. Corpus Crispy. That's the name of the movie. So she's putting out all this stuff on social media about how much she hates the government. And there's these two jerks in New York City, and one used to own a drone company, and the other was a disgruntled worker for a trash company. And
so he's implicating two jerks from New York. Who are those two jerks? I work for the Department of Sanitation, and Jason Goodman, he's insinuating that owned a drone company, right? Corpus Christi is Denise Mattow. He's implicating me, this reporter, Marcus Conti, and Jason Goodman.
so they kind of picked up on her. These two guys made a lot of videos together. They hang out with each other. They shop together. And so they said, hey, we could exploit her.
All false, all lies.
We could exploit her. This is just in the dream. It was a dream.
Right.
And so, like, how do you want to exploit her? Well, the LNG, liquid natural gas tankers, go right by her house in Corpus Christi. They go right by her house. And these two guys are thinking to themselves, we could go down there and kind of hold her hostage and use her house as a command post. And I know it gets pretty bizarre thinking about somebody like Denise. I mean, she's a cutout. I'm not saying it is Denise. This is hypothetical, theoretical. Any similarity to any real people is purely coincidental. But can you imagine her tied up in a chair with a handkerchief around her mouth going, with all these cockroaches crawling all over her? Man, I mean, the audience would just be shrieking, right? So what?
So he talks about, he's talking about a kidnapping. Mm-hmm. He's talking about tying a woman up with roaches all over her. Right? It couldn't be anybody else. Denise, Corpus Christi, confirmed. She lives in Corpus Christi. I know who she's talking about. I know who he's talking about. I live in New York. Goodman apparently lives in New York too, on 7th Avenue.
The audience would just be shrieking, right? So one of these guys brings his drone down that has a flamethrower on it. And if you look on eBay, you can buy flamethrower drones. So what they do is when this tanker's coming and they have these little towers on it, the drone flies out and goes to the control tower. It freaks out the pilot and he runs the ship aground. He just steers out of the way because the flame frightens him, because if there's any vapors around those LNG tanks, boom, it's 3-mile instant destruction. If this thing goes up, let's take a look at the rest of the... It's all going to get cleaned up, folks.
Is it all just coincidental that he's making a video about blowing up liquefied gas on a boat using a flamethrower and a drone purchased on eBay? Is it all just coincidence in his tool shed? A guy who seems to be mechanically savvy talking about this kind of stuff two days before it actually happens in Port City?
Very strange. Very strange.
YouTube guys from New York and a YouTube lady from Texas. Is it all just coincidence?
It's all going to get cleaned up.
Anyway,
if an LNG tanker goes up for 3 miles, everything's gone. Now, if there's no explosion, the gas cloud will kill everything for 1.5 miles. So if this thing was 1.5 miles to the command post, or that would be the cockroach headquarters. If that's 1.5 miles away, just the gas alone would kill all the cockroaches. Isn't that a strange dream? It was a dream. It's a very strange dream. Who are these two guys? And why would they want to fly a drone with a flamethrower? And why does this guy from the trash company being so nice to this lady? It's because they want to use her house as a command post. That's what's going on, folks. It's a dream. It's a dream. I think it'd make a great movie.
He's a total psychopath.
He sounds like a psychopath.
What do you think?
What do I think? I'll tell you what I think. Well, I already told the FBI what I think. I just want to, for the record, it's 1:35 p.m. New York time. The call was made and recorded to the FBI at about 12 noon New York time. So about an hour and a half ago from making this video. Here's the number it called. I would suggest anybody involved in this call to clarify with the FBI if you're not already contacted by the FBI. Right?
So I'm going to leave it there with this. He does go on and talk about, but not anything really pertinent to what was just said. And that is the part that I wanted you to hear, because it's strange. It's very strange. Because, you know, you've got a lot of things that just seem a little bit odd to me. Like this guy who is talking about this explosion a day before it happens, and this weird, that is the most psycho video. It's a dream. It's a dream. All this stuff is going to get cleaned up. Like, there's something weird with that. Then you've got the fact that the DNC War Room, tweeted out something about an explosion in, 2013, and then the next day you've got it happening, and already putting it in our heads that we need to blame Trump for this because he has loosened regulations or whatever. I don't even know if that's true because I haven't had a chance to dig into it that deeply yet, but obviously they are wanting to get ahead of the narrative, right? Then you got the fact that the power was out before this happened, Again, that may be strange. It may not be. I don't know. But it's an anomaly. So I don't know. What do you guys think? If you guys have anything further to add to this, please put it in the comments below. I don't want to belabor this because I've already taken a good deal of time on this, but I feel like it's important because there is something here. I don't care what anybody says. There's something strange with this, and I feel it in my bones. So anyway, that is it for this video. I'm going to end it there, and I will be back with more Q related news. So thank you guys so much. Oh, and let me go ahead and thank the following people while I'm still here. Not that I'm going anywhere, but yes, thank you to the following coffee donors. Thank you so much because I really appreciate donations. They have been getting pretty sparse lately, and as you know, there's no advertising on this site whatsoever, not even any Patriot advertising for products and so forth. And I am completely demonetized on YouTube. So your donations do help me to continue to do what I do. So thank you, Chiaria Awakening. She has donated before, so thank you so much. And to an anon, and he corrected me, he or she corrected me because and said, think the health reference was to FDR. This is from the last video, not Teddy R. FDR, whose paralysis was hidden from the public for his entire presidential service. He was pictured in a wheelchair. Now, I know that. I don't know what I was thinking, or, well, obviously I wasn't. So thank you very much for that correction, and thank you also for your donation. And from Diane Haney from Utah, and we've heard from her before. She wished me a happy Thanksgiving along with her 7 dogs, 3 cats, and 4 horses. Now, honestly, if that were me, I don't know if I could afford 7 dogs, 3 cats, and 4 horses, but I'm glad somebody can because I love animals. I would not want her vet bills or her food bills, but more power to her. I'd have all the animals I could if I could. So anyway, thank you guys so much. No new Patreon or snail mail today, but anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you don't come back and see the next video, then have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow and eat a lot of turkey and then just pass out. So anyway, good night, guys. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and, you know, Epstein didn't kill himself. He didn't.